Good afternoon. I'm Delane Simpson. I'm the chairman of the Code Enforcement and Nuisance Board. I'd like to call to order the meeting for February 28th around 5 p.m. City Hall Commission Chambers. At this time, call to order. Roll call, please.
Deere.
Yes.
Simpson.
Here.
Dearbone.
Here.
Wilder.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
I swear in the board, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God. Thank you. Need to have a discussion or approval of the minutes of January 24th.
Make a motion that they be adopted as presented.
Second.
Thomas. Deere. Simpson.
Yes.
Dearbone.
Dane.
Wilder.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Have any comments or announcements for this afternoon's meeting? All righty. We have no discussion with parking citations, so we can proceed to code enforcement case number 1. Case number 2017-1, citation 2017-261, 213 Whispering Hills Boulevard. Owner Judith M. Hayes, representative Jamie Lancaster, and Brad is the investigating officer. Brad?
This case is the result of a citizen complaint, which also involves several other city departments, such as Public Works, County Planning and Zoning, and Code Enforcement.
Interrupt you just, I want to see if we've got somebody here to participate.
Beg your pardon.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, do we have somebody here that's on this hearing?
I'm sorry.
Okay, excuse me, Brad. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
During the inspection, which was conducted on the 3rd of January of this year, I noted the violations, including inoperable and unlicensed vehicles, vehicle in the state of major disrepair or disassembly, unused and discarded appliances, junk, scrap, and debris, indoor furniture, tires stored outdoors, and motor vehicles parked on the grass or yard. Notice violation was sent to the PVA listed owner and address on that date with a compliance reinspection date of the 13th of January of 2017. As you see the pictures in front of you, there was furniture, appliances, junk in the backyard, a vehicle parked or stored on the front yard. In the driveway there is a red semblance of a vehicle. There's also indoor furniture and appliances in the driveway, several tires, etc. On the 13th of January, I completed a compliance reinspection and found that the property was not only still in violation, but there were additional improperly parked vehicles. To encourage voluntary compliance, I left a door hanger, wrote a note on the door hanger that there were numerous code violations on the property which needed to be corrected. I also researched past cases to find possible contact information for this location and came across a phone number for a Judith Keith, who was listed in a past case as the property owner. I called that number and someone answered, identified myself, and the female said she'd call me back and hung up the phone. I extended an inspection 7 more days to the 20th of January in hopes of voluntary compliance. Tim, if you go to the next set of pictures, there's follow-up from the 13th. These pictures, click on, no, go back one, door hanger. These pictures were taken the day that on the 13th when I had left the door hanger. As you see, there's additional vehicles parked on the grass, a door hanger there on the front door, taped to the glass, and all of the other violations were still present on the property. It should be noted that many of the violations present in this case have been an ongoing issue at this location since as far back as 2015. There have been 4 prior cases at this location since August of 2015 for inoperable vehicles, vehicles parked on the yard, indoor furniture, rubbish, and junk. During the cases in 2015, I spoke with both the tenant and property owner about these types of violations, and in 2016, Code Enforcement Officer Mo Hillard also spoke with the tenants and property owner due to the ongoing violations. By comparing photographs, which we'll show here momentarily, many of the vehicles and violations from 2015 are the same ongoing violations involved in this case. On the 20th of January, I inspected the property and found it again to be in violation. A citation was issued on that date and posted on the property, as well as sent by certified and first-class mail to the PVA listed owner and address. The photographs that you're looking at now were taken when the citation was posted on the property. All the violations during the notice of violation were still present on the property, and there had been no positive changes that had taken place. A reinspection date was listed on the citation of the 30th of January. Leading up to the 30th of January, I made outgoing attempts at phone contact. There was no additional incoming attempts from the tenant or owner, except for one voicemail on the 30th of January. I also left a message from Ms. Keith explaining the importance of the matter and urging her to contact me back to get the matter resolved before a second citation was issued. On the 30th of January, I again inspected the property and found it to be in violation with no changes having been made. A second citation was issued on that date and posted on the property, as well as sent by certified and first-class mail to the PVA listed owner and address. The pictures that you're seeing there are when the second citation was posted. Vehicles are still in the same location they had been for 30 days at that point, with no positive changes being made to any of the other violations on the property. A reinspection date was listed on the citation for the 10th of February, which was since postponed due to the filed appeal. Between the 30th of January and the 1st of February, I spoke several times on the phone with tenants of the property named Wayne and Jamie, and then one of the property owner's daughters, Ms. Deborah Cross. Through multiple conversations to all parties involved, a plan was developed to get the property in compliance. Everyone was very cooperative and polite during those conversations. Tim, if you'll do the comparison photo. No, right, yeah, 2000, no, go back one. Yep. This photo on the left shows when the second citation was posted. Just a quick view of several of the violations, including that vehicle in major disrepair, disassembly, the inoperable vehicle stored on the grass, etc. The picture on the right of that last picture there is that was on the 8th of February, showing that significant progress had been made in that short time frame. I'm sorry, that was the 7th. So there had been significant progress in that time frame. It appeared that many of the tires and indoor furniture had been removed, as well as all the inoperable vehicles. This picture was just for comparison. The top there is 2015. That's, I believe, August 2015, where that red and white pickup truck is inoperable. And then the bottom picture there is the second citation being posted on the property, showing that 2 years later, or a year and a half, that the same vehicle has the same flat tire and is parked in the yard there. So again, just to show that these are ongoing violations. But again, as of the 7th of February, there had been major progress or improvement on the property as far as getting all of those vehicles moved. As of today, and we can look over some pictures here, again, there has been much improvement on the property. To those pictures here in a minute, but the property does still remain in violation. There are several interior doors that are stored outdoors on the property leading up against the house. Windows, interior windows, scrap metal. There's also a TV that's been in the backyard for some time. Again, the property is significantly improved from what it had been. There are still a few issues that need to be cleared up in order to get the property in full compliance, but again, as of today, the case has been open 56 days and the property remains in violation.
Property owner here or someone representing? Okay, you may. Would you tell us who you are, please, and then we need to swear you in.
I'm Judith Keith, that used to be Judith M. Haynes, worked at Western Kentucky Gas. I bought that house from you, and I know your wife because she's in Greeters.
All righty. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
What would you like to know?
We need to know what you're going to say
Well-
about the property.
Okay, may I tell you this first? My husband was really, really sick during the holidays. So from about the first part of January, we went down to Vanderbilt for outpatient surgery, and we had to end up staying 8 days. The doctor came in and said, I have never seen a man that would still walk in the earth that has so much wrong with him. So after we left, we came to Sky for 13 days. Then they sent him to the emergency room and didn't call me. And we were there until February the 7th, and he died. I've owned this house for a long time. My daughter lives in it. There is a con artist that lives there with her. I was glad that I knew him because they went to high school together, but he's just used her. She's the one that's been working and been doing the stuff, and the junk is his. When when they were supposed to come to that here the first time, I told my daughter, I said, Jamie, $103 is owed, and Wayne has to pay it. And I was with my husband then. And I said, I can't fool with this. My husband, I feel like he won't go home again. And so they were going to come to the hearing. I don't even know if they came or not because I was with my husband, and he was supposed to pay the $103. I'll pay the $103 if you want me to. That's okay. But I'm sorry.
Brad, how much, what is left to get in compliance with this property?
On the left side of the house, there are several windows that are stacked up against the side of the house, and what appears to be furniture or siding in the backyard. There are several doors. There's a stack of metal. There's TVs. It's
So are we talking rubbish type?
and junk, scrap metal, and I mean, it's
We're talking about just,
comparatively based on what it was with all of the vehicles and constant parking in the yard and that sort of thing. It's minor by comparison.
when you say windows, you're not talking about repair of windows on the house?
No,
You're
sir,
just talking
no,
about
actual
removing-
windows that are sitting against the side of the house. And when I'd spoken with one of the tenants, he said, the garage is full, the house is full, there's just nowhere else to put them. And so I said, well, can you take the doors somewhere else, put them in the pickup truck, do anything with them? And they said, everything's full, we've got nowhere else to put any of that stuff. So,
Ma'am.
I have a grandson that works for the sheriff's department, and he told me that he would go over there with me, and we could take away whatever is there that does not need to be there, since they haven't. I haven't been to the house for quite a while. This is Deborah Cross, my other daughter, and she was also talking to her sister about handling it, because I had more than I could handle. And, but she can help us, and he'll help me, and we'll go get the rest of the stuff.
Who lives there now?
Jamie, my daughter, has always lived there, and Wayne Whittinghill is who it is. His father and the father's brother, Whittinghill Drywall, used to do drywall in Bowling Green. Very good Christian people. So I was pleased that I knew the guy. But he's just been using her. He's a con artist. He doesn't work.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the citation, we amend the fine to $103 with the stipulation that a month from now, if everything is not in full compliance, we'll come back and ask for the additional $100. But I hear you say you've got a commitment from your family to take care of it, and it sounds like, according to Brad, it's rather simplistic now, so
You want me to pay you something today?
I would just make a motion that we That's my motion.
Dr. Wilder, we have a problem. As of January 1, we changed our process.
Right.
And that's final action, is what we're doing now. So, an alternative to what maybe you're suggesting is that we don't take final action tonight, that we pass it for 30 days and come back at the next hearing. At that point in time, then you could take that
Take your
action,
$103,
assuming that's.
yeah.
And I'm sorry, but we had a change in the statute, and that's where we've
I
got.
understand it.
And also some more clarification. The first citation is done and over. This is the second citation that has been issued, and the amount is $203.77. That's what's in front of you tonight.
See, what we're talking about, ma'am, is that the state implemented some new policies and regulations on what this board can or cannot do.
Yes, sir.
And what has already happened, we have now
That's okay.
have no control over whatsoever.
That's okay. I'm
So,
sorry I couldn't be
We
involved.
want you to get your property squared away, and we want to make our city continue to be beautiful as you want it to be.
Yes,
So
I agree.
I believe that we're going to have to go with, if I may make the motion, to uphold the citation and the fine in the amount of $203.77. That's what we're stuck with, board-wise.
I don't think were you talking about the $103, right?
And
I
the
need to pay that.
The $103 is already final.
Yes.
That's a different
Yes,
one.
yes.
This is another one. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
How much do I owe the 103?
Yeah,
I believe on that first citation, it was $103.77.
77? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Can I give a check
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. I can take that for you.
now? What?
is everything, are we clear, everybody? Do we need a second?
Well, this is on
Is that the
tonight's
motion?
citation. This
Do what
is
now?
The previous citation of 103.77 is resolved. 'Cause
Right.
it wasn't appealed. Tonight, if you're making that motion to
Right.
fine 203 and what,
77.
77, that can be a final action tonight. Now,
That's-
it would, you might be in a situation where you might be back at the next meeting because there would be perhaps another citation if it's not cleared out. What I understood that you were thinking about doing is not taking final action on this, waiting till the next meeting. And in effect, what we're doing is tabling it, so we wouldn't do that tonight, but it's whatever the board's pleasure. I'm just trying to get you there.
Right, then I'll withdraw that motion I made, if I may do that.
All right, and then, so what you would do
Back.
is
Motion 3. Motion 3.
you motion through.
So I'll make the motion to table the ruling on the citation and fine for a period of 30 days or until our next meeting.
28 days to the next meeting.
That's correct. And at that time, we'll address this again, if need be.
I think you all just answered it, but I think that it was my understanding that if nobody came tonight, I just found out like at 4 o'clock that I was supposed to be here at 5. Nobody had even told me. And this gentleman, thank you so much, called my daughter. And that's the only reason I knew, because I was in a meeting. I thought if I didn't show up, I would have to pay the 203. But if I did show up, then I'd be given time.
And that's what the motion is right
Okay.
now. They just haven't voted
Thank
on it yet.
I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay, now,
Okay, Deere, Dearbone.
Knows what he's talking about.
Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
now
Thank
you,
y'all.
you,
I'm sorry.
you get that done by the next meeting. And you'll need to come to our next, okay.
In the next few days.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, we're
Oh, no,
new
no.
territory here. We're getting there.
We knew we were going to need some help on this. So. All right. We'll wait just a moment till All righty. Case number 2 is case number 2016-7433, 205 14th Avenue West. Owner Kelly Richardson, and Brad has this case also. Do we have anyone present to talk about this particular issue?
On this one, I don't believe we will, but this is a per-day fine request, not an
Okay.
appeal, so I believe that has different treatment. Is that correct?
does.
Yeah. So again, we're bringing this to the board for a per-day fine request. This case is the result of a roaming inspection. It was conducted back in October 20th of last year, 2016. During the inspection, I observed accessory structure disrepair, including a shed, a detached garage, and the back fence. Multiple tires stored outdoors, graffiti in multiple locations on the property, including along the back fence and the detached garage, broken and boarded windows on the main structure, indoor furniture stored outside, dilapidated structures such as the shed, fence, and detached garage, and a neglect of duty of maintenance of private property. Notice of violation was sent to the PVA listed owner and address on that date with a compliance reinspection of November 17th, 2016. Pictures you see in front of you show a house that is clearly in disrepair and bad shape. I'll detail the actions I took after this initial step. However, the case is sort of a strange one where the house is somewhat in limbo, where no one really at this point owns the house, and we're bringing it to you to try to encourage compliance from the last owner or to expedite foreclosure on the property. On the 27th of November, I completed a compliance reinspection and found the property to be in violation. I started to research information on the status of the property and any possible contact information with the owner, who we believe lives in Washington State. I was able to find a phone number for an owner from a case from 2013, and the voice on the outgoing message stated it was for that person and to leave a message, which I did. I also made additional calls and left additional messages urging the owner to contact me regarding the property. I left a door hanger on the 30th of November in hopes of contact with anyone at the property. On the 5th of December, I received a call from the tenant, Miss Latricia Brown. Miss Brown was very understanding and cooperative. She stated the landlord or property owner was AWOL, in her words. She admitted she was basically squatting on the property. She hadn't paid rent in a very long time because the property went to foreclosure and the owner abandoned it, but the bank didn't follow through with the foreclosure and she just kept living there. I explained I would be issuing a citation on the property to spur action on the part of the owner, and she wished me luck. She also added that she hopes to move somewhere else by February at the time, and that the house will be vacant and abandoned once she leaves. I issued a citation on that date after my conversation with her, which are the pictures you see in front of you. I also sent that by certified and first-class mail to the PVA listed owner and address. I also issued second and third citations, and just to go over some of these pictures, this first citation here, you see there's a pile of trash in the back of the detached garage, which is in a dilapidated condition. Not only tires on the porch, but disrepair to the porch and the walking surface, the siding of the house. There's graffiti on the front, back, and sides of the house, garages, and the fence. Multiple tires stored along the property as well. The left side of the house has a large broken window that's been boarded by a large piece of plywood for an extended period of time. The back of the house has broken windows as well. Tim, if you want to go to the second citation. And we don't have to take too long with most of these pictures because nothing really changes between any of them, but just so you kind of get an idea of what the fence and the property look like. Again, graffiti on the back of the fence. This faces the alley to the rear of the property. The dilapidated condition of the fence. This is the back of the detached garage. There's broken windows on the back of the house there. Cans of roofing tar on the roof, which appears to be in disrepair. The shed to the left there is in a state of dilapidation and neglect. And again, on the third citation, nothing much had changed on that one as well. The second citation was issued the 15th of December. Third citation was the 27th of December. And this is pictures from the third citation. Again, fence, graffiti, no changes to the property. Prior to bringing this matter in front of the board tonight, I requested that the city's legal department investigate the property and determine its current mortgage or ownership status. In short, they determined that the property is currently in the name of Kelly D. Richardson pursuant to a deed dated July 23rd, 2007. They went on to report multiple liens currently on the property, including city and county tax liens, prior code enforcement lien, et cetera. They then further reported that a tax foreclosure action was filed by a lien servicing company on August 8th, 2011 in Warren Circuit Court. An order referring the case to the Master Commissioner for judicial sale was entered on November 6, 2015. The property was scheduled to sell by the Master Commissioner, but the sale was withdrawn by the plaintiff. No further action is scheduled in the matter, and again, that's what brings us to the current state of the house where the owner had abandoned it during foreclosure, and the foreclosure proceedings, or Master Commissioner proceedings, I suppose, were withdrawn by the lien servicing company. So as of today, the case has been open 131 days. Property remains in violation, and we're asking the board to authorize the issuance of a per-day fine citation in order to attempt to either encourage compliance from the prior owner or expedite foreclosure on the property by the city.
Mr. Chairman, at the end of the day, I think it will simply expedite foreclosure. The good thing about the new statutory change is it gives us a priority on our fines, so, and we've got a limitation in the suggested motion on the fine, should you so choose to do it that way.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the code enforcement staff to issue a per-day fine at $100 per day.
For how many days? 60.
Pardon me?
60 days.
60? For a period of 60 days.
Second.
Deere, Wilder. Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes,
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
thank you. Case number 3.
Before we go on,
Yes.
if I may, what happens at the end of 60 days if there's no action? What are our avenues to take action at that?
But what I anticipate, I think it will get leaned in that period of time, and I would think that the city would probably go forward with the foreclosure. That's kind of the new move on the statutory setup.
Something we have to direct or request, or is it automatic? Okay. Anything else, Jack? Case number 3, 2016-8302, 757 Old Morgantown Road, owner YB&R Investments. And Mo has the action on this one.
So, this case is the result of a citizen complaint. The inspection was conducted on 12/7/16. During the inspection, I noted the following violations: numerous inoperable vehicles, unlicensed vehicles, construction and demolition debris, and tires on the property. An NOV was sent to the PVA-listed owner and address on that date with a compliance reinspection and date of 12/19/16. The owner is Mr. Minton. I left a message to make sure he was aware that the case had been started. From the day I started the case, I called him, and what would need to be done to bring the property into compliance. I also left a copy of the NOV at the property. In the following weeks, I spoke with Mr. Minton a couple of times, and he asked for the reinspection to be put off as he was trying to get someone to tow the vehicles off the property. He assured me each time that we spoke, we'd have the construction materials and tires removed by the next weekend. On 1/11/17, I re-inspected the property. One vehicle had been removed, but that was all that had been done. I wrote the first citation with the re-inspection date of 1/23/17. The citation was sent by certified mail. I also sent the citation by first-class mail, as Mr. Minton has stated he's not getting certified mail delivered to his home address. That's just, we hear that a lot. He never got the certified letter. I also posted the citation on the property. That citation was gone from the property that next day, too. I went by to check it, and it had been picked up from the property.
I think that this excuse of not receiving certified mail has been used over and over and over again. So I'd like to discount that as any argument.
Granted, and I always make sure, like I said, that I do as much hand delivering, calling, posting on property because of that, so. On 123 of 17, I re-inspected and there was no improvement. I wrote this second citation with the re-inspection date of 2/2 of 17. The citation was sent by certified mail, same thing. First-class mail, certified mail, and posted on the property. On 2/2 of 17, I did the re-inspection and there was no improvement. So I wrote the third citation with the re-inspection date of 3/2 of 17. The citation was sent by certified mail to PVA listed owner and address. I also sent, same thing, posted and sent it. As of this writing, the case is 83 days old and the property remains in violation. I want to state, this has been a property that's been a nuisance before too, that we've had other issues with this particular property. So.
Is anyone here representing Mr. Minton? Is this our Mr. Minton we've spoke with before?
Yes, yes, yes. We're trying for, to place a per-day fine on the next citation.
I'll make a motion to put the, authorize the code enforcement staff to issue a per-day fine in the amount of $100 for a period of 60 days.
Second.
Thomas, Deer,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Next,
Could I
yes.
staff? I go by Russellville Road once a week to have breakfast on Thursday morning with a bunch of my colleagues. And I repeatedly, every week, go by and look at that mobile home park. And it looks worse now than it looked when we had Mr. Minton in here every month for several months. I don't know why something can't be done to clarify that situation. We settled the case, we thought, but yet you go by there and it still looks like
Dump.
I don't know why the neighbors haven't complained every day. Why can't we do something about it? Do we not need to go out and inspect again and issue some citation against the current owners of that property or what? Question.
Just for clarification, Mr. Minton is still currently the owner through two of his LLCs. The LLCs are not in good standing, and that's what's holding up the sale to the new owners. I don't know how much information I can disclose past that, that the Realtor has allowed us to be privy to, but they are still in the process of trying to clear those LLCs up in order to facilitate that sale. Unfortunately, the city staff had also reviewed the property to see if it was something the city would abate as a nuisance prior to that sale, and apparently the decision was made to not move forward with that as well, due to the overwhelming cost of the abatement of asbestos and other issues at the property. So at this point, it's kind of held hostage, if you will, at the mercy of the LLCs, and once those are in good standing and the sale will continue, the new owners, to my knowledge, are very eager to start building and to clear that rest of the property off and abate the nuisance that is there. But unfortunately, it seems like most of our hands are tied in the situation as of now.
Have you been given any estimate on how long it will take to?
I check weekly with either Mr. Minton or the Realtor. When I spoke with Mr. Minton actually in person yesterday, he said that he was hoping it would be within 1 to 2 weeks. I checked with the Realtor about an hour and a half ago. He said that he wouldn't hold his breath, is the way he worded it. So we really don't have much more of an update than that.
Dr. Wilder, I'll do this. I will, Jeff Harned, who you're dealing with.
Correct.
I'll contact Mr. Harned and find out if we have a deal or we don't have a deal. If it's still up, then it's something we need to.
I thought they were anxious to buy it, and he was certainly anxious to sell it.
They are, and to
So
my
I
understanding,
can't
the money's
believe it
even
is-
in escrow. I mean, they've signed the paperwork, the money's in escrow, and they went to move forward to close, and because of the LLCs, it wouldn't actually, that's my understanding. I'm not that familiar with that
Well,
process.
we were also told the property was contaminated also with
Well, but the-
asbestos and other things, oil.
yeah, to my understanding, the new owners took that into account on the purchase price and took that amount off the purchase price to abate that nuisance.
Okay.
So that as soon as these LLCs are cleared up and the property closes, the new owners will have all of that. They already have it all lined up to get cleaned up. It's just a matter of
Well,
actually closing the
Dr.
sale.
Waldo's concern is something we all are concerned about. Maybe we can have an update, by the next meeting, where we are, what's going on. Okay. All righty, case number 4, 2016-5758, citation 2016-5289, 0 Thames Valley Way, owner Charles E. English, respondent Charles E. English, Officer Mo Hilliard, and we got some citation fees of $203.77. Is there some discussion that needs to go on at this time before we proceed?
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that Mr. English's attorney is here tonight that wants to address us. There are two things. One, there was a fine initially on this property that was not appealed. So that's not an issue. This is the second citation on the property. And we've been going back and forth about some resolution. Mr. English has appealed that particular proceeding, although we took no final action. We actually deferred it. So while there is an appeal, there was nothing to appeal. I'm going to suggest that we let his representative address us and see what the board's pleasure is.
Is there any need of going through our,
My understanding is you will abstain in this.
That is correct.
Yes, sir. Okay.
any need of us going through our board?
At this point, from a code enforcement standpoint, there's no change
Okay,
from the
good.
last meeting.
Thank you. Who do we have here?
Good evening, my name's Joe Brown, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Charles English.
All right. Let's swear you in, sir.
Certainly.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
So this has been somewhat of a procedural quagmire for us. We were here on the November 22nd meeting of the board, and it was our understanding that how this was temporarily disposed of.
Get a little
I'm sorry.
closer, yeah.
Again, we were here, Mr. English and I were here at the November 22nd meeting of the board, and it was our understanding, and my reading of the minutes from that meeting, that this was tabled pending a possible survey of the property to determine who owned the property on which the fence was. And so then, our understanding was that it was tabled until the January 24th meeting. On December 2nd, I believe, sometime in early December, Mr. English received another order, or ordering him to comply with the citation that we had understood had been appealed. Or I'm sorry, we had understood had been postponed or been tabled until the January 24th meeting. So we appealed that order to the Warren Circuit Court. And since then, it's been a game of phone tag between Mr. Broderick and I trying to contact each other. And Mr. English's position is it's quite a headache for him, and so we'd like to resolve it. And so what he's communicated to me is that he's willing to maintain the fence. I know we tried to set up something between his property manager and Officer Hilliard, who issued the citation. And so his position that he just relayed to me right before I came here was that he's willing to maintain the fence if he can just get this out of his hair.
Well, that resolves the dispute about the fence, Mr. Chairman. The thing that remains is, and again, what I think Mr. English first got was the initial fine. That was the first citation. The second citation, there was no action taken on. We actually tabled it. but when they got the findings of fact, they appealed it. So that's where we are. If he is willing to accept maintenance of the fence, then you have to determine what y'all want to do about that. Now, if you want to suspend the fine, invoke the fine, whatever the board's pleasure is at this point in time.
You say that he assumes responsibility of the fence. What does that mean, knowing now that it's in, grass is growing up and the problem, I'm not sure, the fence may need some repairing and whatever. What does Mr. English propose to do about those issues with, I guess, his fence, his property now?
Mr. Simpson, I'm afraid I can't answer that with specificity. I didn't get a lot of elaborate details from Mr. English, but he's just wanting to get this matter resolved. And I'm actually not sure as to his willingness to actually pay the fines, but what he sent me to communicate to the board is that he's willing to undertake the repair and maintenance of the fence. And I'm sure that means I guess what that would mean to me is that he is undertaking to bring the fence into compliance with the code.
That's the goal.
As I understand, yes.
Yeah.
I was sent here on very quick notice by Mr. English, so.
Mr. Chairman, then I think the board's pleasure tonight would be they could waive the citation, uphold the citation, waive the fine, uphold the citation, uphold the fine, or they could say, let's wait 30 days and see if that gets cleared up. That would be another option. The first two would be final actions. The last one would be postponing it to the next meeting. That's kind of our options at this point in time.
Counselor, can you uphold the citation and waive the fine?
Yes.
And that would be final action? Okay.
Final action.
But I do need to know, because this is an ongoing case, if we do something like that, I want to have the assurance that this is a weeds problem right now. And that was our whole, there was a previous case started. It was argued that nothing could be done about the fence until the weeds were dealt with. So I closed that case and started a weeds case. But as soon as the weeds are dealt with, there's a fence case. Right now, we're not even talking about the fence. So now a removal would be fine. And I talked to Mr. English's property manager and tried to explain, honestly, the fastest, easiest would be removal of the fence. Now, if he doesn't want to do that, that's fine. But right now, we're talking about weeds, and I'm going to need to have some kind of timeline where it's going to be done, so we can then start talking about fence if that's what if he wants to keep the fence. Honestly, it would be easiest to just plow the whole thing and be done, but that's his choice. So,
And if I may, I think that's where the confusion arose for Mr. English and I. We were operating under the assumption that there was one citation for fence that needed to be like weeds and fence together.
yeah. No.
And that's why when Mr. English received or in early December, received a second order after the November 22nd meeting when the matter that we thought was the sole matter was tabled, that's why we initiated that appeal in the district court. And so I know this has turned out to be a little bit procedurally complicated, but I'd like to, for my client, really just try to resolve this. And the only thing I would have to present is he's willing to bring into compliance. I'm sure if he's willing to maintain the fence, he's certainly willing to get rid of the weeds. That's about all I know to say.
I just don't want it to come to a surprise to him. He cuts down the weeds, and then the next week he gets a case for a fence, because that's what's going to happen. That fence is dilapidated.
I actually think it would be the inverse of that. I think because we've been operating on the assumption that it's mainly that's just about the fence.
Oh, yeah.
So
No.
I can communicate to him
keep-
that there's a weed issue and a fence issue.
If you can make that clear to him, I would appreciate it, because I have tried.
Well, as long as he owns the fence, he's always going to have to maintain the weed problem.
Exactly.
Well,
It would make sense to me that he want to tear down the fence.
that's the issue, Mr. Wilder, is that there's kind of a dispute and ambiguity as to who actually owns the fence. And that's where we left off at, if I can recall, on the November 22nd meeting is that there was, the reason it was tabled, it was pending a resolution of who actually owned the fence, whose property the fence was on.
Hasn't that been resolved?
Not to my knowledge.
I thought the survey had been completed.
Well, no.
No, no.
Never a survey done. Because the proposal that was on the table about the survey is, it was gonna be the responsibility of whoever's fence it was, and neither side really was willing to take the risk of having to pay for the survey.
I
That-
thought
it
at the
was a
last
nice-
meeting, we talked about the need to have the survey conducted so we would know actually who is the owner of the fence.
It was a nice idea, nobody would cooperate on it.
Well, Mr. English in the last meeting admitted that he was the owner of the fence. Numerous times he said it, so he put in the fence, it's on his property line, and even if, there's a 10-foot easement through that area, but you still have to take care of the easement that's on your property line, so it is, that's code.
I think one thing we need to go, what you're saying is you're gonna maintain the fence, irregardless of whose it is.
That's his position. This is quite a headache for him, so he's willing to, the issue, I think, if I could be specific, I think our position was in the November 22nd meeting that there is a disparity between what the county records say on the VATs indicated on those maps of the property and what I think the GIS system that was on display when we were looking, there was a disparity between those two where they showed the fence and the property line respective to one another. Mr. English's position now is that he's willing to, regardless of who owns the fence, in fact, maintain the fence. I will communicate to him that it is a dual issue of both the fence and the weeds, and I'm sure that he'd be willing to take care of the weeds as well.
Can this be cleaned up within a 30-day time frame?
I'm sure Mr. English would be fine.
Now's honestly the best time. It's the foliage is at its lowest, so.
For me?
The foliage is at its lowest. It's the best time to be cleaning up that fence right now.
Well, I'll make a motion that we table this for 30 days, give them, since Mr. English, and we've had confusion, that Mr. English has agreed to take action on this and do the maintenance on this, that we table it for 30 days and come back and get another evaluation before our next meeting, and then we'll address it at that time.
28 days.
Pardon me?
28 days.
Second
Sorry.
motion.
28 days.
Second,
That's an appropriate motion.
Okay. Okay, Deere, Wilder. Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder.
yes.
Thomas.
Thank you, sir.
You just need to come back to the next meeting, see where we
Okay.
are, okay?
Thank you. They never get easy, do they? All righty, case number 5 is a repeat offender, Hilltopper Estates LLC. And who's going to be doing that tonight? All righty, we're ready for you.
We're bringing this property owner before the board for a repeat offender designation due to multiple citations from this property owner on their properties. The way that this property owner would qualify for repeat offender is he's been issued a 4th citation within a 2-year period, and he has also been issued a 3rd citation within a 12-month period. He does not qualify under Category C, which, because all of the fines associated with these citations have been paid. He has been issued a total of 8 citations encompassing 2 properties. 1367 Clay Street, there has been 1 structural citation issued and 2 non-structural citations. And another property that he owns, 2047 Rock Creek Road, there have been 2 structural citations and 2 non-structural citations issued. And these have all been issued within a 2-year period.
Essentially, this particular person meets the repeat offender case in either Category or Category A or Category B, and he has both of them, right?
That is correct.
Okay, any discussion by the board?
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to motion,
Oh, beg your pardon, no,
sorry,
sorry. All righty, forgive me. Who are you, please?
I'm Karen King Roby. I'm an attorney here on behalf of Hilltopper Estates. This is my client, Kyle Shirley, the owner and president of Hilltopper Estates.
So who's going to be doing the talking? You? All right, let's swear you in, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, and nothing but the truth, and so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hilltopper Estates LLC, thank you. No, I can talk really loud.
Well, we need to be able to record it also.
Hold on just one second, I'm sorry. That's no problem.
Here it comes.
Okay. Hilltopper Estates is the legal owner of 28 properties in Warren County. If you look on the Warren County PVA, about 80% of those are within the Bowling Green city limits. Mr. Shirley, currently under Hilltopper Estates, as well as his other cumulative LLCs, owns approximately 451 rental units here in Bowling Green and Warren County. He takes great pride in his ownership of these properties, you know, and what goes into it on a daily basis. He's a very responsible landowner, you know, who pays his taxes. He's taken care of all citations when he has known about them. In this particular case, we're talking about 1367 Clay Street as well as 2047 Rock Creek Road. On July 31st of 2015, Mr. Shirley and Hilltopper Estates LLC entered into a land sale contract with Miles Properties LLCs for these two particular properties, two separate and distinct land sale contracts. Both of these properties are the properties that are in issue tonight with these citations that had been issued. And again, please take note that there are 26 other properties here in Warren County owned by Hilltopper Estates that are not in question, that Mr. Shirley owns outright. In the land sale contract, particularly page 3, subsection 2, it is noted that the buyer shall maintain the improvements on the property during the entirety of the contract. Furthermore, on page 5, subsection 6, it also basically reiterates the same thing. The buyer is to maintain the property as well as to keep it in the condition in which it was received, as well as comply with all laws, ordinances, regulations that could and would affect the property during the land sale contract. Due to these underlying contractual obligations, when Mr. Shirley received your notices, we're not arguing that he did not receive them. They were received and they were sent to who was contractually obligated to take care of these issues during the contract, which is still in place currently. So they were sent along, and just as Mr. Shirley is a good property owner here in the city, he believed that these citations were being taken care of, these issues were being remedied, and was going on with his daily business as planned. And then, like I said, there's no question of notice here. He is acknowledging that he received every notice. But upon receiving the designation as a repeat offender, he had to revisit as to what happened with all of these citations. Did they get paid? Did they not get paid? And had a conversation with Mr. Miles as to where they were, what needed to happen. And at that point, he sought out legal advice as to whether he was obligated to pay the city, although the underlying contractual obligations were in place that he believed were there to protect him, and in fact are there to protect him, but that'll have to be a separate avenue to pursue. When it was explained to Mr. Shirley that yes, in fact, you have to pay every citation, you are still legally the owner of this property. The contractual obligation does protect you, and we will discuss that in a different manner. Mr. Shirley did come to the table. He paid every citation he took care of, and he made sure that everything was taken care of in regards to those citations. So he did what a legally responsible landowner should do. It's not by coincidence that we're here today regarding these two properties. He owns numerous properties in which we've never stood before you before. I venture to say I don't even know any of the other properties in which he owns he's even had citations issued. That's just the type of property owner that he is. He also owns a property management company that responds very diligently when there are issues at hand. And like I said, he sought out legal counsel to be here for him tonight to try to take care of this issue because he takes this repeat offender status very seriously. This is not something that he wants to be imposed on him or his companies. He understands the magnitude of this and is taking it very seriously. Particularly in your ordinance, BG 2011-6, 27-1.03 defines a repeat offender as a person which met that Category A and Category B, like we discussed before. I just want to bring it to your attention that that land sale contract was signed on July 31st of 2015, which was approximately 18 months ago. So many of these citations that were issued was during this contractual period that there was a question as to who is to be paying this, who is to be taking care of. Hopefully now we have that cleared up as to what issues had taken place. It's my understanding that this particular ordinance was enacted for those property owners who continually and voluntarily violate the property maintenance codes, and they do nothing about it. And I can't stress to you enough that that's not the case here. That ordinance is to punish those property owners and deter future owners from engaging in that type of behavior, because that's not what we want in our city. We want to be keeping it clean, and I can't stress to you enough that that's not what we have here in the room tonight. Mr. Shirley recognized his responsibility. He took care of that responsibility. We've made a clarification that in the future, if it's not taken care of by the buyer, it needs to be handled in a much quicker manner, and it needs to be handled by him, and then we look at the contractual obligation after the fact. So to designate Hilltopper Estates as a repeat offender, we feel would be arbitrary and capricious, and we ask that you please look into the surrounding circumstances in this matter and please consider otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may have mentioned this, but what is the current status of those two pieces of property?
They are still in the current land sale contract with Hilltopper Estates as the seller and Miles Properties LLC as the purchaser.
And this has been going on for 18 months.
Yes, sir.
So why does it take 18 months to resolve the sale of two pieces of property?
Well, it's a land sale contract in which seller financing is involved. I'm sorry, I've got a copy of the land sale contracts here if you'd like to see them, but the duration of the land sale contract. Kyle, can you speak to that a little better than me? Do you know how long it's for? Let me see here.
Kyle Shirley, owner of Hilltopper Estates. I swear to tell the truth.
Say again, please.
Kyle Shirley, owner of Hilltopper Estates.
Okay.
I
You swear to tell the truth, nothing but truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Both of you.
Yeah, good luck with that. The reason this has gone on so long is Mr. Miles is here today also. He had his credit stolen and was unable to live up to the obligation of the contract, but they're still in place. And he's seeking financial help and for his credit and that kind of situation. And one of the Rock Creek property is actually set to be sold in the next 30 days to another buyer. So there will only be one property that he'll own in this manner, which will be Clay Street.
Have these properties been rented out during the course of the last 18 months?
Yes,
And I assume you've been collecting the rent, right?
he's been paying me. He's been collecting.
Oh, I see.
He's been the property manager and been on site. I haven't stepped foot on either one of these properties since I signed the contract.
And just to clarify, I believe a lot of these citations were regarding trash. There was a lot of trash being dumped from even neighborhood folk. mattresses, couches, and they have sought out, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Mr. Miles here, but Scott Trash and Waste Removal, and since that time, there has been very little issue. They do have to give a certain amount of notice before Scott can come and remove things like mattresses, but it's been a much better process of putting the trash where it belongs and when it was a rubbish issue.
Do we know if Hilltopper Estates has been before this board prior to April 25th, 16?
I really don't know. I don't think so, but I'd have to go back and look.
I realize that that's a
Right. Now, I
hard,
don't
we
think
don't have
they've
that
ever
in
been
front
in
of
front
you.
of the board, but.
I just
if
asked
there
if
could
anybody
be
knew.
Citations out there, I'm not sure.
And I'm sure that your officers could speak to the fact of our property management company, Home Sweet Home Rentals, has been very cooperative with any violation that we've ever had.
That's right. Mine either, so.
I think the question was asked, why 18 months? Being one that's had his financial records put out into public places, I understand the delay and the dilemma that brings. It's a nightmare.
I'd like to make a motion that we not designate the property owner, Mr. Shirley, as a repeat offender.
Second?
Wilder, Thomas, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes,
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next case is case number 6, a repeat offender, Miles Property LLC.
Again, there are 6 citations involved here, over 2 properties, 318 Butler Way and 2046 Rock Creek Road. And in this situation, Miles Properties are being brought before this board for repeat offender status for having been issued a 4th citation within a 2-year period, issued a 3rd citation within a 12-month period, and issued 2 citations within a 2-year period, and the fines are unpaid. None of the fines in this case have been paid. There have been, at 318 Butler Way, there has been 1 non-structural citation and 2 non-structural citations issued on separate dates. At 2046 Rock Creek Road, there has been 1 structural citation and 3 non-structural citations issued on different dates.
We have a representative here from Miles Property. Please tell us your name. What's your name?
Clay Miles.
Okay. Please raise you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Smaller one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yes.
I don't really have a big legal mumbo jumbo like that. You know, this is my first year dealing really more with city property. Like we said, we switched trash services. We won't have trash violations anymore. I'm personally hauling off mattresses and couches from the Clay Street and Rock Creek area every week. It's a neighborhood issue due to commercial dumpsters being available. I think I've formed a really good relationship with Mo and Brad and David as well over the past year, and I'm trying to do my best as a landowner to avoid these citations and fines this year, and it won't be an issue anymore. And the fines will be paid within the month too.
How many properties do you own?
With the land sales and my own properties, there's 2 apartment complexes, Butler Way, Clay Street, and I've got a couple houses scattered throughout. And I had staff change last fall. They were supposed to be taking care of these things, and they weren't happening, so now I'm doing it personally myself.
You have a staff?
I did have a staff, now I'm doing it all myself. So I do all my maintenance, all my everything. It's hard to find good help these days.
We've heard some horror stories about owners doing their own maintenance.
Yeah.
I'll just share that with you, and I won't mention any names, but boy, it's a big job.
Yeah, it's a
Big
lot.
job.
But my goal is to not be back here ever again, and you know, to continually work with code enforcement and take care of issues as they come up.
Is there a reason that the fines have not been paid?
I've been trying to pay the other fines for the other properties, but this month I'll be able to pay the other fines in full.
These are fines from August and September
Right.
and June of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, it behooves you to think that these other 8 from Hilltoppers is the properties that he's been managing. This isn't, as far as we've seen, every time we need these addresses, we're calling Clay. Every time we need these addresses, we're calling Clay. And it's continuously getting dragged on later and later. The whole idea of the fines is to try, the extra fines is try to make sure that you really take it serious. I'm not saying that you won't. I'm not saying that you're going to go out and get more citations. I'm just saying that that's part of the idea, is to kind of make it hurt a little so that you really get the idea. And, you know.
Do we have a total amount on these citations?
Yes, the total on these properties are $2,941.14.
900.
$41.14.
Which, 2 of the citations, there was actually evictions going on during the process. The tenants were hostile. I actually had one tenant threaten to kill me and my family, so I did not want to be in that property during that time, and I have police reports as well. So, you know, those 2 issues were going on, and I have the actual court-ordered evictions for the properties that there was a floor issue and a mold and paint issue in one of them as well, if you'd like to see them. But I didn't go back into those properties until they were out of those units, just due to the fact of my safety and my family's safety as well.
But that dragged on for a really long time.
I understand that. It's just, that was going on as well at the same time.
When do you anticipate paying these fines?
I'm gonna do my best to pay them in full this month. And like we said, 2046 and 2047 Rock Creek will be sold within the next 30 days. So,
Sold or closed?
sold. We sold them to a third party.
And you're talking about closing in another 30 days or
Yes, sir.
45 days?
Yeah.
So 2.5 months.
Yeah, they've been sold, so I won't be the property owner of either one after 30 days.
So now you understand that if we were to make you a repeat offender, basically any more citations you get would cost you a certain amount of money. So basically, as long as you don't have any more, you wouldn't have to worry about it. You wouldn't see us again. We wouldn't see you. So this is more of a preventative measure, so that you don't get hopefully you don't end up with another one, right?
Right. Yeah, I understand that. I was just kind of asking for forgiveness of the board, you know, trying to do this all myself. And
Have
know,
you,
it's-
have you contacted anyone on the board regarding payment of any of these fines?
Not currently, no.
Okay.
Miles, you're a younger version of some of the gentlemen we've had in here over the last, 2 or 3 years with very similar stories. I didn't get the citations, no, I didn't, etc. So I guess I don't have a lot of sympathy at this point.
But you have committed to this staff that you're going to pay the $2,941
Yes, sir.
and 14 cents, hopefully during the next 30 days, is
Yes,
that
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're petitioning that we not designate you as a repeat offender, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, I'm concerned that no contact has been made. The citations have been, they've been cited, and it's just like, okay, we're just not going to pay them. And nobody has been contacted at this point in time regarding that. That bothers me as much as anything to the character of the property owner. So based upon that, I'm going to make a motion to designate the property owner as a repeat offender and set the future citation fine of $800 for a period of 24 months as dictated by this ordinance.
Second.
Deere, Thomas. Deere,
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes,
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
we're pulling for you. Stay
So-
clean, pay those dues.
So basically, if they're, I'm trying to, this is my first 2 years in city, so I'm trying to, so if I get a notice of a violation, I correct it within 7 days, we're good, right? But if there's a violation, it carries a $700 or $800 penalty.
The same thing as always, Clay. It's not just 7 days, 10 days, 30 days, whatever it is, we'll work with you just like we always have. But if a citation is issued, instead of it being 100 or 200 or 300, it's $800 every single time across the board.
Okay.
for the- for
Mr.
the next
Miles,
24
these
months.
people will and will be your friends, I guarantee
Oh,
it.
we're friends now.
They are.
I
Well,
think we've kind of turned a leaf after last fall.
And just
so.
to bring to the board's attention, the dates on there as well, and I think that stands to support what Mr. Miles is saying, is
Right.
that the last citation that was issued was, looks like September for any of those properties. So Mr. Miles has been making a concerted effort to work with
Right.
us, and things have improved.
Thank you, Mr. Miles.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Any other business before the board? Wasn't all that tough, but it wasn't all that easy either. We're getting better, I hope.
New process.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's just a new process.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
What about the consent agenda? Do you want to?
Oh,
There is no consent
There isn't.
agenda any longer.
do what
We don't
now?
have to do that anymore. That's the other thing that changed.
Was I at the last meeting? I must have slept through it.
Okay,
Okay,
Simpson,
we got a
Thomas,
first and second here.
Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes. And in the